Hey everyone, welcome back to Motive Sketch. Today we're diving into a book that has literally changed the way millions of people think about success, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I have to tell you, when I first picked it up, I thought, okay, I already know about habits, motivation, and goal setting. But very quickly, I realized this book is not about theory. It's about tiny practical changes that add up to life-changing results. And we're going to walk you through all 20 chapters today.
Absolutely. What I love about Atomic Habits is that it doesn't promise instant success or huge leaps. Instead, it's about tiny, almost invisible steps that, over time, create massive improvements. And we'll not just summarize each chapter. We'll discuss them, share examples, and even give small tips you can try immediately. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to start implementing these habits in your own life.
And the best part is, we'll keep it conversational. Think of this as sitting down with a friend, having a chat about practical ways to improve your daily life. No boring lecture, just insights you can actually use.
Exactly. So grab a notebook if you like taking notes, or just pay attention, because these insights might just change the way you see your routines forever. Are you ready?
Let's dive in. When I first read about habits being like compound interest, it really hit me. Think about it. If you save just a little money every day, over time it grows into something huge. Habits work exactly the same way. Doing tiny things consistently, even when they feel insignificant, can completely change your life. For example, reading just one page a day seems small, but in a year, that's over 300 pages.
Absolutely. And what really stuck with me was the idea of identity-based habits. So often we focus only on goals, like I want to lose 10 kilos, or I want to write a book. But James Clear asks, who do you want to become? Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, say I'm a runner. This shift changes your behavior automatically because you start acting like that person every day.
Exactly. And then there's the habit loop: cue, craving, response, reward. It sounds simple, but once you understand it, you see how so many of your behaviors, good or bad, are predictable. For instance, craving a snack after work isn't just about hunger. It's about the cue, sitting on the couch, the craving, comfort or stress relief, the response, eating chips, and the reward, feeling relaxed. Once you identify each step, you can redesign it.
And that's what makes habits controllable. Once you understand the system, you can tweak it, optimize it, and turn tiny changes into life-changing results. And once you see how habits form through cues, cravings, responses, and rewards, the big question is, how do we take control of them? That's exactly where Law 1 begins. Make it obvious.
You know, when I first read about Law 1, it felt like a light bulb went off. The idea that the environment controls our habits far more than sheer willpower? Wow. Think about it. If your water bottle is hidden in a cabinet, you're less likely to drink water. But put it right in front of you, and suddenly it's much easier to remember. Just seeing it triggers the habit automatically.
Absolutely. And this isn't just about convenience. It's about shaping your life subtly. James Clear calls this environment design. Your surroundings can either make good habits inevitable or make bad habits almost automatic if you're not careful. For instance, if snacks are always visible on your desk, no amount of motivation will stop you from grabbing them sometimes.
Right. And sometimes the key is simply awareness, realizing what cues are driving your behaviors. Once you notice the triggers, you can start redesigning your environment to favor positive actions.
Exactly. So, visibility is the foundation. Make the cues for good habits obvious, and you've already taken the first step toward consistent behavior change. Another powerful tactic in Law 1 is habit stacking. I love this idea because it feels so practical. Link a new habit to something you already do. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I'll meditate for 2 minutes. It's not forcing yourself, it's piggybacking on something automatic.
Exactly. And you can extend this further by shaping your environment. Make good habits easy to start. Keep fruit on the counter, put your workout clothes next to the bed. Make bad habits harder, hide junk food, remove the TV remote from your desk. These small adjustments dramatically increase your chances of success.
I've personally tried this with my reading habit. By putting a book right on my pillow at night, I automatically read before sleeping. It sounds simple, but these little cues make it nearly impossible to skip the habit.
And that's the genius of Law 1. You don't rely on willpower, you rely on design, visibility, and the power of small, consistent cues. Tracking habits is such a simple, yet incredibly effective method. Sometimes we have no idea how consistent or inconsistent we are until we record it. Seeing the pattern itself motivates change.
Yes, and when you pair tracking with awareness, you gain insight into your behavior loops. For example, noticing that you skip exercise on days when your desk is cluttered can help you fix the environment. Awareness plus tracking equals control.
And the most satisfying part is that you can immediately see progress. Each check mark or small note acts as a reward, reinforcing the habit loop naturally.
So to sum up Law 1, make cues obvious, link new habits to old ones, design your environment to favor good behaviors, and track your progress. This law is all about making the right actions almost automatic.
So now we know how powerful cues and environment design can be. But here's the thing, even if a habit is obvious, it won't last if it feels boring or unappealing.
Exactly. That's why the next law is all about attraction. Make it attractive.
Law 2 really opened my eyes. I realized why I kept failing at some habits. It wasn't about discipline, it was about attraction. If a habit isn't enjoyable or appealing, our brain resists it. Think about exercise. If it feels like a chore, motivation alone won't last. But if you pair it with music you love or an activity you enjoy, suddenly it's something you look forward to.
Exactly. James Clear calls this temptation bundling. You combine a habit you want to build with something you already enjoy. For example, I'll only watch my favorite show while on the treadmill, or I'll listen to a podcast only when I cook. This transforms the habit from boring to enjoyable, and our brain starts craving it naturally.
And it doesn't stop there. Social factors play a massive role too. Being around people who already practice a habit you want to adopt makes it attractive almost automatically. Humans are social learners. We imitate, compete, and get inspired by others.
Right. And the beauty is that by consciously designing what we find attractive, we can make even challenging habits feel rewarding. The key is to create an environment and context that nudges our brain toward pleasure while practicing the habit. Pairing habits with immediate rewards is powerful. Our brain craves instant gratification, so giving yourself a small reward after completing a habit reinforces the behavior.
Exactly. Even tiny rewards matter. Finished reading a chapter? Enjoy a short coffee break. Completed a workout? Listen to a favorite song. These micro rewards create positive reinforcement, making the habit loop feel satisfying and motivating.
And the initial reward doesn't need to be huge. It's about conditioning your brain to associate the habit with pleasure. Over time, the habit itself becomes enjoyable, but these first incentives help it take root.
Plus, pairing a habit with something motivating can help you overcome days when motivation is low. Even when you don't feel like it, the reward or positive association nudges you forward. Social influence is one of the most overlooked ways to make habits attractive. Being around people who are consistently reading, exercising, or practicing a skill makes you want to join in. It's not about pressure, it's about inspiration.
Yes, exactly. Humans are wired to imitate those around us. If your friends are hitting the gym regularly or learning new skills, it naturally pulls you along. Even subtle cues, like seeing someone meditate daily, can increase your desire to adopt the habit yourself.
And don't forget environment. The spaces we spend time in can either make habits appealing or dull. Music, lighting, social company. All of these can enhance the attractiveness of a habit.
So to summarize Law 2, make habits appealing through enjoyment, pairing with rewards, social influence, and environmental cues. These strategies make habits not just doable, but genuinely attractive. So your brain wants to do them without resistance. Making habits attractive gets us motivated to start, but motivation doesn't always carry us through.
Right. That's why James Clear says the real magic comes when we make habits easy. And that's Law 3. Law 3 focuses on simplicity. One of the biggest barriers to habits isn't laziness, it's friction. The more steps you have to take to start a habit, the less likely you'll do it. I realized this when trying to start journaling. My notebook was tucked away on a shelf, and my pen was somewhere else. It took effort just to get started.
Exactly. James Clear emphasizes reducing friction and making habits easy to start. When you lower the entry barrier, your brain has no excuse. For instance, place your workout clothes next to your bed or keep your guitar ready on a stand. The habit almost does itself because you removed obstacles.
And another point, small habits compound. Start with tiny versions of the habit. Do a 2-minute workout instead of an hour. Write one sentence instead of a page. The simplicity keeps you consistent and prevents procrastination.
Right, the key is motion. Once you start, even a little, momentum builds. Making it easy creates that initial spark that grows into a lasting habit over time. Another major idea is to reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad ones. If you want to read more, keep books on your desk. If you want to stop scrolling social media, delete apps, or put your phone in another room. Small changes in environment can have a massive effect on behavior.
I've tested this myself. When my running shoes are ready by the door, I run almost every morning. If I leave them in the closet, motivation alone is rarely enough. The environment either nudges you forward or holds you back.
And combining this with habit stacking makes it even more powerful. Linking a simple, easy habit with another action you already do makes the new habit practically automatic.
So, Law 3 is all about designing simplicity. Remove obstacles, lower friction, make it easy to start, and the rest follows naturally. The final piece of Law 3 is starting small. Even 2 minutes of a habit is better than none. Once you begin, momentum naturally builds and the habit grows stronger.
And don't underestimate the psychological power. Completing a tiny habit triggers a sense of achievement. Your brain recognizes progress, no matter how small, and reinforces the behavior.
Over time, these tiny, easy actions snowball. A few minutes a day becomes hours over months, and the habit becomes automatic without feeling forced.
So to summarize Law 3, reduce friction, design your environment, start small, and focus on motion. Simplicity is the secret weapon for consistency.
When a habit is easy, we're much more likely to repeat it. But repetition alone isn't enough. We need a reason to keep coming back.
Exactly. That's where the final law ties it all together. Make it satisfying.
Law 4 is about making habits satisfying. Humans repeat behaviors that feel rewarding and avoid those that don't. The immediate feeling after a habit matters more than the long-term benefits. For example, saving money for retirement feels distant, but buying a coffee gives instant satisfaction.
Exactly. That's why James Clear emphasizes the importance of creating immediate rewards for good habits. If the benefit is too far away, your brain loses motivation. But if you give yourself a small, instant win after a habit, you reinforce it right away.
And this connects to the principle of reinforcement. Every time you finish a habit and it feels good, even in a small way, you train your brain to repeat it. That's why something as simple as checking a box on a calendar feels so powerful.
Right, because satisfaction closes the loop. Cue, craving, response. And finally, reward. Without that reward, the loop breaks down. So Law 4 reminds us, make the ending satisfying so the behavior sticks. One practical method James Clear suggests is habit tracking. Just by marking an X on a calendar every time you do your habit, you feel a small hit of satisfaction. It seems simple, but that visual proof becomes addictive. You don't want to break the chain.
I love that method. I once tracked my workouts on a wall calendar, and honestly, the satisfaction of seeing those X's lined up was more motivating than the workouts themselves. It becomes a little game. You don't want to lose streak.
And combining tracking with rewards makes it even stronger. For example, if you save a certain amount of money every week, treat yourself to something small at the end of the month. That immediate gratification reinforces the long-term habit.
Exactly. It's about giving your brain something to celebrate in the short term while your future self enjoys the bigger benefits. That balance between now and later keeps habits sustainable. Another way to make habits satisfying is accountability. When you know someone else is watching your progress, the sense of responsibility adds pressure, but also satisfaction when you deliver.
Yes, accountability partners, coaches, or even public commitments work wonders. Imagine telling your friend you'll run 3 times this week. When you follow through, the pride and acknowledgement you get from them is deeply satisfying.
And let's not forget identity. The ultimate satisfaction comes from acting in alignment with who you believe you are. If you see yourself as a healthy person, every workout feels like proof. If you see yourself as a writer, every page adds to that identity. That alignment is the most powerful reward of all.
Beautifully put. Law 4 teaches us that satisfaction, whether through rewards, tracking, accountability, or identity, is the glue that keeps habits in place for life. Without satisfaction, even the best designed habits eventually fade. So, after walking through all 4 laws, it's clear that habits aren't just about discipline or willpower. They're about systems.
And this brings us to the big picture, what it all means for our lives and how we can actually change who we become. So, looking back, the whole book is built on a simple but powerful truth. Small habits, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results.
Yes, from making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, we see it's not about huge overnight changes, but about tiny steps that compound into massive transformation.
Exactly. Whether it's health, career, or personal growth, your future is essentially the sum of your habits. Change your habits, and you change your life.
And the beauty is, anyone can start. No matter how small the step, as long as you stay consistent, you're moving toward becoming the person you want to be. If you enjoyed this journey through Atomic Habits, imagine what we can explore together in future videos. More books, more insights, more strategies for growth.
So, if you found value here, subscribe to Motive Sketch, give this video a like, and share it with someone who might need that little push toward positive change.
Your support helps us keep creating and sharing these ideas with you.
And remember, your next breakthrough might start with just one small habit. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.